last question.
Uh,
Tell me about your infinity love for Prince.
So we're gonna restart the battery on this and all that. All right, yeah. Goodness, man.
I couldn't let this interview go without bringing up Prince.
I appreciate it.
I couldn't do that.
Yes, man. I just watched last night. I just watched his Purple Rain tour from 1985 streaming on YouTube. But it's like, I don't know. I was just thinking he's just so open and free with everything, and it was like he didn't care what people may have thought about him. It's like some relative nobody in Wyoming may think that he's gay or something like that when he wasn't. But he's like, I know the women I got. I don't care what anybody says. I know I made dress and lace gloves and all that. I got high heel boots. I got these perms and all this stuff. And I wear makeup and mascara around the eyes. But he did not care what people thought, man. And it was just, let alone the fact that musically, I think he's the greatest to ever do it. Him and Stevie Wonder are like one in one egg. But let alone the music that he had. And the fact that he wrote everything himself. Until like the very end, he sampled a couple songs, but he wrote everything himself. He produced it all himself. I mean, he had his Revolution influenced him. They opened him up to more like jazz influence and all that stuff. So that came from the women in the group. Like he has some like Eastern Indian type sounds. He started incorporating into his sound, but he pretty much wrote everything. He produced it. You know what I'm saying? He directed the bands. He wouldn't accept anything less than like perfection, all that kind of stuff, man. And he's just, I don't know, there's something captivating about him. And I told, I was telling Fitzgerald, the one time, it's so true that like Jamie Foxx, I think, was talking about it, that when you're around Prince, you start to lose who you are. You know what I'm saying? And the second time I saw him, I actually went to Prince's last concert, which was down at the Fox Theater, April 2016. I went to his last show, and it was like, I was back there with this incredible painter. I don't know if maybe PhD don't want me to. I don't know, but I went to one of the painters who used to live around here, and it was just like being in his presence makes you forget your manhood. I guess he has that power over you, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. That's the only time that happens to me. But it was just so great, though, man. Everything about him is just so captivating. You may not like his feminine appearance. He would wear bikini bottoms with just a trench coat over it in his early days. You may not appreciate that, but there's no way you can deny the music, though. And that's something like from his last concert. The first time I saw him was August of 2004 for his musicology tour, and I was like third row that day. And like I remember he came out, and all he did was a simple one strum of the guitar. He went, "Dum, dearly beloved," and 20,000 people screamed all at the same time. And it's just like, how do you have that kind of power, man? Like, how do you get to that level? How can you ever be somebody? So even if it was like, I'm going to do poetry or DJing, and I got 30, 40 people, but I get everybody to do it with me all at one point, that's my piece. That's my small way of getting to feel what he felt, and showing the power and influence that he gave to me. But as far as him, I don't know. It's just, I just listened to his songs, and it was just something about him that was like, so he was cool with this feminine look, but yet he had more and better women than like anybody on the planet. And it was just something I just loved about all that. I could go on and break down every album he put out, but for right now though, that's what I really love about him.
That's dope. That's dope. And who but besides him, I think we was talking off camera. You were saying the Temptations.
Most definitely.
Who's some of you? Smokey Robinson's, Wu-Tang.
Definitely, yes.
Prince.
Yeah.
Who else?
Those are like all my absolute favorites. The RZA was, well, that's Wu-Tang. Yeah. But because he could rap and DJ.
Did you see the RZA? Did you see the Wu stories on Hulu?
Goodness. I saw most of it.
That shit official. What you think? You like it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty good, right?
They got a dark skin guy to play RZA. I didn't understand it, but besides that, everything else was great though. Because it's like he could hold it down, rapping and producing. And it was like, I want to be a poet, and a DJ same time. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
RZA's just the greatest, man.
Yeah.
Everything to do with Motown, but yeah, definitely the Temptations. They were so versatile, and like these same words come up with all the people that I like. They were so versatile. You had David up front as a great showman. Eddie with his falsetto, and he could just make any woman's heart melt. Paul, he was the choreographer of the group before the guy Charlie Atkins took over. And it was like, and he came up with their fashion, all the things. Like the little things, like they're doing a big stadium or something. They wore white shoes on stage so the people up in the rafters could see the footwork that they were doing. And it was just like all little things that came into it. That came from Paul. And so many different ones from them. 4 of the 5, ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. But the other 4, they could all be the lead singer. You know what I'm saying? And they could all do everything and lead the way for everybody. And it's just so versatile. It was just so many different things from the Temptations, man. It's just, but those are the main ones that influenced me. As far as music goes, like I said, wrestling is actually what inspired my whole look, which is so weird, and I'm probably the only one that would have that story.
No, Wale probably would too.
Wale?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard that.
If you look at his interviews, he loved wrestling.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I look at a lot of interviews.
Never heard. That's great.
But is there anything I didn't ask you that you want the people to know?
Just the 2 things I'm thinking of. It's a story about Arcane, just in case I ramble and forget to talk about it. But the Macho Man Randy Savage was like the one that created me, I guess. Because...
So you know I helped JFris, you know. And if anybody want to go against this, I'm going to piss all over you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was so many things about him. Like, if you watched WWF back in the 80s, it was like he had the voice. He had the voice that stood out from everybody else. He had the catchphrases. So once you heard it, or if anyone ever did it, you knew exactly who it was. And thus, I have my catchphrase. My name is JFrisBeats, JFris, what they call me. He always had his signature look. He always had his shades that he went up there with, the little headband that he would wear to the ring, the bedazzled robe and all that he would wear, whether or not it matched his ring gear. He always had his look put together. And thus, with me, I'm always coordinated with all my colors. I'm always...
Can you take off one of your shoes so they can see how your shoes match? I'm sorry, I don't have your shoes in it, because you're famous for your shoes.
See, I should have worn my sparkling shoes today, but, you know what I'm saying? But this is just one of my basic ones right here. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna be head to toe on that. And then, like, the wristbands and my DJing chain that I go with it. So... it's like I always gotta have that stuff based off of him, the whole look that he had. Like back in the day before the match starts, they would just have like on the screen Vince McMahon talking, "Coming up next is gonna be the Macho Man," and they wouldn't have a picture of him. It would just be a picture of his shades, and you knew exactly who it was. So thus, I always wanted to have my logo, my symbol, and that's my heart through my hand symbol. It's on the back of my book here, but the way my name JFris, probably not the camera. The way JFris is written, I always have that. My heart through my hands over here. So I always wanted my logo based off of like them with their logo. My color coordination to go with them. And like people like Ultimate Warrior was always color coordinated. His face paint matched his tassels, which matched his boots. All that kind of stuff. And it was like you didn't have to see them. You just saw their symbol and you knew it was them. You didn't have to hear them, but you knew their catchphrase. Little things that he would do that just made him stand out. If you notice, he never just climbed into the ring 1 foot at a time like everybody else. He would hold the ropes, bend over, and kind of both feet would hop into the ring. And it's just like something stupid like that he always did. He didn't climb out the ring like everybody else. He would jump over the top, down to the floor, and like bang his hands on the apron. Just little things like that made him separate from everybody else. So what can I do to separate from everybody else? Well, everybody got to know me for the shoes. So you know what? I'm going to start wearing these shoes on stage. No one else, I've never seen anyone change clothes on stage before. So I had my heart through my hands shirt and a JFris hat, and then I put on like this button up because I was about to do a love poem. I changed it to this button up. I took off my red shoes. I put on these dress shoes. I changed the hats and all, and I put on like this suede velvet, whatever. What is that? Velvet type of hat.
What is that, huh?
And I had some women in the crowd feel the velvet of the hat. So it's like stupid stuff like that. It made me stand out. I have these frisbees that I throw out on stage. because nobody else is doing stuff like that. So, not this one, but I put out a book and a CD at the same time, because people probably have done that, but it's rare though. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was like the first one to change clothes on stage and just do all those little things like that. That makes me stand out. And I wanted to be a different kind of DJ. Not that no DJ has ever done it, but something I really wanted to stand out with was the fact that I can like incorporate what I'm playing along with what the poet has actually said. A lot of DJs, first of all, I got into DJing because I was working with Lady V, and she's the one that really got me started on this. So I give her like all the credit and the praise and everything in the world. It was her shows that allowed me to start doing it. A lot of DJs we would hire, they'll stand there, not G-Side, G-Side's the greatest of all, but a lot of the other DJs will just stand there, not do anything. The only time they would do something is before and during the intermission, so you can hear how good they were at whatever tricks they got and all that. A lot of them would just stand there. No entrance music, no exit music, no nothing. And it's like, can you play this song for me? And then the DJ will look at Lady V like I wasn't ready for this. That's not what I'm ready for. And it's just like, are you kidding me, man?
Right,
so
right.
I wanted to be the most in tune DJ that there is. So now I've gotten to be known for whenever a poet says something, I have the perfect song to go with it. And I believe I can do that better than everybody else. Other people can do tricks, they can do echoes and fade outs, and they can do whatever else. But no one is hitting it with the mental library like the way that I do. And a lot of that comes from Arcane Thought, because he's the one who actually called me DJFrisBeats, and he's the one who gave me the physical library. It was like he was DJing a lot of shows, and I guess he wanted to retire and all that he talks about. So he just for no reason just gave me like 500 songs, 500 instrumentals. Here, start off with this. This is the program you need to use. This is how you do it. This is the buttons. All right, let's practice. Yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? He showed me all that stuff. He gave me all the music. He just gave me the start of it. So those are the things. I definitely wanted to point out that Arcane is the reason, or Lady V is the reason I became the DJ. Arcane got me to be where I am. And also how my whole look and inspiration came. Oh, the last thing, now that I'm thinking of it, Tyrone is the one who really named me JFris, and he's the reason I have my catchphrase, because I've always just been Jason. I felt funny with like a nickname or whatever. I'm just me. You know what I'm saying? I'm no character or nothing like that. But because of the shoes and all, and the way I would dress up or whatever, he just started calling me JFris, because it was like a whole another image from who I normally am. So he started calling me JFris, and I never really felt good about a nickname. So that's why on stage I would say, well, I'm Jason Frisbee, but JFris is what they call me. So it started off as just a real life statement.
Right.
Like, this is who I am, but this is what people call me though. And then I started saying it more and more. And in fact, Tyrone's wife is the first one that pointed out, you even got your catchphrase when you go up on stage. I'm like, seriously? Like, yeah, every time you go up there, you say I'm Jason, but JFris is what they call me. And it was like, then it hit me. I'm like, okay, you know what? People know me for that. So, or at least somebody knows me for it. So my name is Jason Frisbee. JFris is what they call me. And now I've incorporated my name is Jason Frisbee. JFris is what they call me. In some capacity, you can call me DJFrisBeats. So that's a lot of what I am and what I do is for and based around a lot of the other poets, which I didn't have when I came here from New Jersey. So I'm way better at everything because of everyone else around me. So all I do, I always make sure that I give the credit and I give a lot of praise to the other poets around here to influence me to be who I am. So that's the once again, that's the long answer of
No,
the
you
question
good,
you
you
asked.
good. Shit, Arcane, he helped me with the intro that people hear when I go on stage. Arcane did that for me.
Yeah.
When you hear, in fact, my second book, I Apologize, he re-edited it for me. We a community. We always look out for each other. That's what we do. That's what we do, man. That's what we do.
So yeah, so I definitely wanted to point out, Lady V started me with everything. She gave me my first feature overall. She gave me my first big feature.
Mm-hmm.
She did so many more things behind the scenes that, like, you know what I'm saying, she put up with all all my problems. She put up with everything, man.
Right.
Siobhan is the one that named Artistic Fusion for me, and she named my second book, Awakening the Dream.
People don't know how much information that girl got.
My goodness.
She a fucking monster,
My
bro.
goodness.
She's a fucking monster.
My goodness.
Stop ducking that interview, Siobhan. Stop. I know you gonna watch this. Stop ducking that interview, Siobhan.
Hey, I'm the one that got to know Siobhan and introduce her to everybody else, so it's your obligation to come do these interviews now. You know what I'm saying? So, Arcane got me the DJ, Tyrone gave me the name, all that stuff. So, I give it to a lot of other people. Kiss the Poet is why I found a much better way of doing my next books. I wouldn't have done it without him. Mr. Fun has told me a million things, not just the Frisbees, but, you know, I'm starting my own company, Heart Through Hands LLC. My goodness, what am I talking about? So, yeah, so a lot of other people, I make sure I give everyone else the credit and the praise and all that stuff. That's another reason I like being a DJ so much, because I can take a song and enhance what you just did, because not everybody is going to remember every word from all 20 poets, but people can remember, oh, they played that song, now I remember exactly who you are, what you did, or whatever. It's like if a poet goes up there and they're talking about how they're single, and then I play the Living Single theme song, everyone's going to sing along. That's like guaranteed. Everyone's going to sing along, and they're going to come up to that poet afterwards. That's right. The DJ played Living Single. I loved your poem about being single out here. I'm going through that too. And the whole conversation starts. They may buy their book. They may buy a shirt, whatever it is. That's what I like to do for the poets. So everything I do is about giving back to everybody else.
Most definitely. Most definitely. YeahThisMilk. I'm here with JFrisBeats. I always fuck his name on purpose.
Yeah.
Cause I always fuck his name on purpose. But I want to say, why he get that swig of water? I want to say,
yo, come on with that, man. All right. I'm throwing this away.
I want to say, I want to say from I'm gonna say this on the behalf of the culture. I was gonna say on the behalf of VIP, but I'm gonna say on behalf of the culture. Yo, we appreciate you for DJing for us. We appreciate you for putting your energy into doing all these shows, because if you wanted to, you could be a dick and say, I'm charging y'all this astronomical price.
Yeah.
You are a piece in a poetry puzzle that help us those shows, because if you wasn't in position to do what you do to help us, a lot of shows wouldn't make it because the overhead would be too high. I give a salute to you, and I want to say thank you on camera, bro. I really appreciate you, bro.
I definitely appreciate the opportunities and the faith that everyone's had in me, man. So I definitely appreciate it in return.
So, do you want to end us off with a poem about the four little girls, or you good?
I think I got it memorized.
All right.
So,
before you go into it, tell them, give them your catchphrase, and then lead out with the poem. We done. I want y'all to know one thing. Go ahead.
All right. So, just in case you would like to know, the Instagram is DJ_FrisBeats, FrisBeats. I believe that's how you spell beats. DJ_FrisBeats on Instagram. Facebook is just Jason Frisbee. That's with a Y, not EE. But yeah. And just in case, the Cash App is $DJ_FrisBeats, no underscore. So $DJ FRIS, not no Z, FRISBEATS. But like I said, this poem is the title track of my first and only album, The Unseen Picture. And I'm so old school that, like, you know what I'm saying, I made this like a record, you know, and that's why I used the cardboard sleeve with the side cut out and everything, like how records would be back in the day. There's a side A, side B. Some of the tracks have like the static over it and all that, like a record. All right, so the influence behind that one was, like I said, I've always been into history, and I took my dad, who's the biggest Temptations fan. He's the one who got me there. I took him over to Alabama to this Eddie Kendricks Memorial Park. Eddie Kendricks, one of the leads of the Temptation, of course. And I took him over there. And while we was in Alabama, we went to see the actual church that was bombed. And of course, this poem came out of it. So I always like to do something. It may give you the same topic, but I want to give you something different, from a different perspective. So that's why it's called Painting the Unseen Picture. And this is the one that I did in New Orleans with Rep Your City, Atlanta versus New Orleans. But it is on YouTube in case you want to look for it. From 1963 to the current day scene. We're presently living the dream, and a lot of progress has been made, I see. September 15 on 16th Street to June 17 in Charleston, SC. From Birmingham to Ferguson to Charleston to everywhere between. Leftover black and red bodies, with it being the only guilty one that was fleeing the scene. It must have been a dream to execute your ultimate scheme and to be able to leave without ever being seen. Taking a life made you feel like a man, it seems, but your hit and run actually couldn't have been done any more cowardly. Now let me paint the scene. Down in the church basement, there's two girls helping each other get ready for service. They're tying each other's sashes together. Another sits off to the side reading Bible verses. You know, as it comes to mind, 14-year-old girls can be very threatening and imposing. I completely understand how they could have made you nervous. You needed the red of their bloodshed to color over your own yellow streak. You couldn't face up to your actions and live with what would happen because you're entirely too weak. So you made an anonymous call with 3 minutes being the only words that you would speak. You only gave a cryptic indicator, then less than a minute later, people from blocks around felt the impact and they heard the sound of when you set off the detonator. But before you left, the last thing you saw were the sticks of dynamite you placed under the church steps. Felt you were making an advancement, so no need for any sorrow or regrets. Just as long as you claimed the black life, your action was right and you had to be justified. But you wasn't there afterwards to see the bodies clung tight as 4 little girls made the last moves of their lives. You just knew what you had to do, right? But it resulted in a girl with glass in her face and left blind in one eye. I'm guessing you were resting, feeling at ease with the fact that just like you, some others weren't at the funeral. Well, that's because the injured body count reached up to 22 and some of them at the time were still in the hospital. While you should have been getting your judicial arraignment, the victims' families were making their funeral arrangements. You see, you should have been spending your days in court, bringing your prior actions into remembrance, pleading with your insincere repentance, begging mercy of the judge, waiting to hear how he's going to hand down a repentance. On the other side, as Carol Robinson's mother cried, and Addie Mae and Sarah Collins' family asked why, open or closed casket is what they had to decide. Black lives didn't matter, so you killed the innocent for your worthy cause. But you didn't hang around to see all the trauma that you caused. Things like all the bloodshed and the hospital beds, along with the mental and the physical scars. You didn't see how one body was decapitated and mutilated to the point where they could only identify her because she was wearing a ring or by some of her clothing, or how one was dead from a piece of mortar lodged in her head. But time after time, this is the song that we sing. The song is centuries long, and we've been singing it for decades. And since it was birthed from the souls of our ancestors, the passion never fades. The lyrics basically reflect the feeling of how can we expect something from a system that doesn't include us and whom they protect. This self-generated feeling of authority is protected by the authorities. So many times they've been not guilty in the killing of minorities. We've reached a point in society where hardly anything surprises me, how we're gunned down on the pavement. Then they grease the palms of the officials with a payment. And the only penalty is to be paid while suspended. And once the charade has ended and it's all run its course, they quietly return to the force just as they intended. Now let me ask you this. Have I been speaking about 1963 or the current day scene? You see, they're over 50 years apart, so there should be no resemblance. But sadly enough, we can't even see the difference. My name is Jason Frisbee. JFris is what they call me.
YeahThisMilk. We killing ignorance one conversation at a time. Salute.